always been fascinated by the Arab world. The land is both beautiful and rich in history, and the Arab himself is both pious and brave. It was this fascination that led me to learn Arabic. It was this fascination that led me to become an archaeologist. It was this fascination that led me to spend the next years of my life traveling up and down Mesopotamia and the Arabian Peninsula. It was this fascination that led me to be co-opted by the British military into surveying the Arabian desert. And it was this fascination that led me to sign up with the Arab office in Cairo when the Ottoman Empire and my own British Empire went to war. With the Arab office, it was our job to draw up maps of the Arabian Peninsula and assess the situation of the Arab revolt. Now, the Ottoman Turks had ruled over the Arabs for hundreds of years, and recently the Arabs decided they didn't want to be ruled by the Turks anymore. So, in 1916, Sharif Hussein of Mecca declared an independent Arab kingdom of Hijaz. The early life of the kingdom of Hijaz did not go well for the Arabs. They suffered a series of crushing defeats, and the city of Medina, their second most populous and the second most holy city of Islam, fell to the Ottoman forces. Now, the revolt must have prevailed, because if they were defeated, then that would have meant a united Muslim world against the British Empire. The situation was dire, so I went across the Red Sea to assess the situation for myself and meet the leaders of the Arab revolt. I crossed the Red Sea and met the man who would be my guide, a man who I would refer to as Tafas. We crossed the desert to the city of Mecca, the capital of the Arabs, and met Sharif Hussein and his eldest son, a man named Ali. Ali was very short and plump. He was very clever and politique, but he lacked the fervor required to lead the revolt. So we crossed the desert once more to meet his younger brother, a man named Abdullah. Whereas Ali was very short and plump, Abdullah was very tall and lanky. He was very religious and clean, but he was too self-conscious to be an effective leader. So we crossed the desert yet again, this time to the camp of the Arab forces, to meet Prince Faisal, their current leader. From the Arabs, I saw exactly what I expected to see. They were demoralized and woefully ill-equipped. I did not see a single machine gun, and many of the men did not even have rifles. But Prince Faisal, oh that Prince Faisal, he was excellent. Charismatic, courageous, clever. If any man could lead the Arab soldiers through the gates of Istanbul itself, it would be Prince Faisal. I returned to Cairo and gave my report to the commanders there. They selected one Colonel Newcomb to be the permanent liaison with the Arabs, but the situation was urgent, so I sent back across to act as a temporary liaison until he arrived. With Prince Faisal, I acted as a strategic aide and logistics officer, ensuring the Arabs had all the supplies they needed. When Colonel Newcomb arrived, Prince Faisal intervened on my behalf and asked that I remain in Arabia and continue my work with the Arabs. Now, in the Arab revolt, there were three groups of Arabs. The first group were the Arabs of the cities. These were the Arabs of Prince Faisal and Sharif Hussein. They were educated, skilled debaters, and very cultured. The second group were the vocal, radical Arabs, like the Wahhabi tribesmen. I cannot say that I personally agreed with them. They were a vital part of the revolt. The third group of Arabs is the Arabs I worked most closely with. These were the Bedouin tribesmen, desert nomads who spent their lives learning everything there was to know about the desert sands of the Arabian Peninsula. The Bedouin tribesmen lacked the discipline to be regular infantry. They would not form up into cohesive units and engage the enemy. They would break up and split en route. So we would fight a different war than the war that was being fought in Europe. The Bedouins and I may not have had the equipment the Ottomans had. The Ottomans had howitzers and airplanes, but this was not the Ottomans' desert. This was the Arabs' desert. We would appear from the desert, strike, blow a railway line, disappear into the desert. We would appear from the desert, strike, cut a telegraph wire, disappear into the desert. We would appear from the desert, strike, destroy an Ottoman column, disappear into the desert. You could describe the war in Mesopotamia as a boxing match between Allenby and his British soldiers and the Ottoman Empire. The Arabs and I would always be there, holding the Ottoman Empire's arm behind its back. You may have only been harassing the Ottomans and supporting the British, but we had decisive actions all of our own. The town of Aqaba was an Arab city on the north side of the Red Sea, just east of the Sinai Peninsula. Its position threatened the right flank of any British forces in Mesopotamia, and it was too heavily fortified against attack from the sea for the British to take it. Now, the garrison did not fortify against the desert. After all, it was one of the harshest deserts on earth, and who would dare to cross such a deadly desert? We did. The Bedouins and I crossed that desert. We rode past the defenses of Aqaba that were all facing towards the sea, and forced the garrison to surrender with barely firing a single shot. We continued our work, fighting a guerrilla war against the Ottomans until the city of Damascus fell in 1918 and the Ottomans were knocked out of the war. I returned to England and continued my work diplomatically with the Arabs. And now, gentlemen, we are here in Paris today to decide what happens to our world in the wake of this great war. I have heard tell of one Sykes-Picot agreement between the French government and my own British government that would deny the Arabs the free Mesopotamia they deserve. Without the Arabs, Allenby's campaign in Mesopotamia would have been little more than another Gallipoli, senseless bloodshed with never a hope of victory. And I must ask you, the Arabs fought back so fiercely against the Ottomans. What makes you think they won't fight back so fiercely against you? I am Colonel Thomas Edward Lawrence, CBN DSO, with Prince Fossil's delegation.